Good morning. It is Saturday, October 10th, 2015, and welcome to episode 4 of the Multifarious Man podcast. I am your host, Jay Vincent, and I'm glad to be spending another Saturday with you. Now, today we have a really good treat. As promised on the last episode, I have my first interview. We're going to have an interview with actor, friend extraordinaire, Ralph Navarro. We got to spend some time on a nice Skype call last week talking about a little bit about his acting career, auditioning, and some nice surprises that, some time he spent on some pretty famous movie sets. So again, I hope you enjoy it. Also today, not really going to cover too many other things, although I am excited to know that Janet Jackson released her first album in 8 years called Unbreakable, and I've been listening to it on repeat consistently. You can get it at Target, you can get it at Best Buy, and through iTunes, through Amazon. I believe at Target there are 2 extra songs, but can't go wrong with it. I'm really enjoying it. Classic Janet. She's hooked up again with Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis, some of the producers that she worked with on some of her top hits over the years. So if you don't have it, I recommend you run out and get it today. Excellent. Also, this past week, the movie The Martian, starring Matt Damon, came out. I know a few people have gone out to see it. Said it's a faithful adaptation of the book, although there's some differences. It doesn't take anything away. So whether you've read the book or not, from what I understand, it's quite enjoyable and it's highly recommended. I hope I get a chance to see it. But enough about that. Let me get to what I promised. So coming up when we return, we are going to have the interview with my good friend, actor extraordinaire, Ralph Navarro. We'll be right back. Numerous and varied, greatly diverse and manifold. All the things I want to say that never been told. Dina Sinatra to Drake and Pharrell. When I'm listening to this week, you can never tell. Bogey and Bacall, even Meryl Streep. The devil wears Prada, even the big sleep. It doesn't matter where you stand. I'm the multifarious man. All right, we're back on the Multifarious Man podcast, and this is an event for me. Actually have my first guest on the show. Me and the guest, we've known each other for over probably about 25 years now. We met at the City University of New York, City College to be exact, in the theater department. And from day one, we've been thick as thieves. So I'd like to welcome to the show Ralph Navarro.
Yeah.
Hey, what's going on? What Ralph's alluding to, we're also frat brothers for Phi Beta Sigma fraternity. So it's, we have not only a lot in common since we first met and our love of theater and film and movies, but like I said, both being born and raised in New York, or for the most part, lived most of our lives in New York. So we've been friends for a time.
Sure.
Now, Ralph, as I've been leading up this, I've been doing this show for a few weeks now and kind of talking about all things love of film, love of books, love of movies. And I know one of the things we have in common, because when we were in school together, it was for theater and film. I myself, I haven't continued to pursue it as, over the years. And I've always been impressed by people like yourself and a lot of other people that we went to school with that are continuing to this day, trying to grind through. So can you kind of talk to the audience, tell us a little bit about your background, where did you develop your love of acting, kind of what you got into it and, how things have gone over the years?
I sort of fell into it, man. Very first degree was in communications, film, TV, radio, that kind of stuff. Actually, even goes a little further back than that. Right out of high school, I went to a vocational school, and I studied recording arts. Being in the studio and producing and doing all that stuff. So one of the professors took a liking to me just because I got into everything. I tried everything, and was willing to put in the work, put in the time. And so he actually invited me to a session he had where he was doing post-production on some videos. So adding the sound, and they had, voiceover stuff going on. And the producer and the director were there. And I got to talking to them, and I thought it was mad cool. So I was like, you know what, I'm going back to school. So I went back to school, and I have a degree in communications, film, TV, radio. While I was going through that program, a lot of my buddies, I'm in class talking shit, like I usually do. And they thought I was funny. So they were like, I'm doing a project for class. Would you be in my film? Would you do this? And I sort of caught the bug. And once I was done with that program, I was like, you know what? I think I want to study theater. And City College was, poor man's Ivy League. I could afford it, and had a great program. So that's where I ended up, and got my degree in theater, and haven't looked back since.
Okay. That's kind of a little bit kind of how I fell into it too. But it's like you said, you discover that you're good at something, and other people kind of see it, and you're like, well, maybe it's something I can do. Now, from what I remember, and the one thing I hated the most, and not so much in school, because auditioning in school, it was fun, I enjoyed it. But the one thing I didn't love was out in the world, going on auditions. You hope you get a like a targeted audition where you're actually selected for something. But my memories from many years ago were going on cattle calls where you show up because there was an advertisement in something like Backstage or some other newspaper, and you'd show up and it'd be 1,000 guys that looked just like you, that fit the description. So like, what are your favorite or worst parts of going on auditions? What's the hard part of acting?
I'll tell you, after all these years, I used to see auditioning the same as you. It was like, I'm gonna go over there, I gotta sit there for 2 hours, I got a million people, and truth be told, I got lucky a couple of times, and I actually landed some of those cattle call auditions. But where I was blessed was the fact that I ended up in Miami for about 7 years. Once I got to Miami, I'd done a lot of theater. I got a degree in theater and all this stuff. So I got to Miami, and I was a pretty big fish in a little pond. Miami is full of these really, really good-looking people who, started off in modeling, who somebody told them, there's a lot of money in commercials and this and that. You should become an actor. So now all of a sudden they add actor to their resume. Do they have anything on there? No, but they got that look. So I go out for auditions in Florida, and there's 1,000 people there. They're all amazing, good looking, six-packed up and all that stuff. But they can't read a script. They can't, understand how to do a line, stuff like that. And I go in there, and all of a sudden the director's laughing and the producer's laughing, and all of a sudden, the call was for, a muscular big guy, and all of a sudden this fat boy lands the role. And, the casting directors and the rest of the actors start looking at me like, what the hell, and it kept going, and I was blessed. I got to do CSI. I got to do Ali. I got to do Bad Boys 2. I got to do about 20 commercials. I got to do films for Russia, for India. I got to do all these things that I probably wouldn't have had the chance if I was in New York or Los Angeles, because, that's where everybody who gets training goes to. So I would have had competition there, where in Miami I didn't. So I was blessed.
I actually remember when you did the CSI episode. I think what were you, like a bouncer? It was something like that. And
I was the doorman at a club called Honey's.
okay, yeah. And in fact, I think I still have it on VHS somewhere. I need to go look for it. But I remember being probably more excited than you were when you told me about it, and watching it and be like, yeah, kind of like one of those things. Now, you mentioned, like, you did some work on Ali, you said, and then also and Bad Boys 2, I remember distinctly. Can you tell me a little bit about what was that experience like? I mean, here are these big budget films, headlined by, Will Smith, who, at that point in time, when he did Ali and when he did Bad Boys 2, he's already a, world-renowned superstar. Yeah. What's it like being on an actual movie set? And that kind of vibe. What's it like? What's the behind the scenes? What's the? Yeah, I mean, I know it's hard work, long days, but kind of give me what was it like,
dude? All right, Ali, I only worked on for 2 days, and most of my stuff was improvised, and it was like, not to toot my own horn, but it was great. But it ended up in the cutting room floor, which was cool. It was a paycheck. I got a chance to, meet Will and meet Jada and, a couple of other people, which to me was cool. And then I got the call for an audition for Bad Boys 2, which I don't know if you remember. We all saw Bad Boys 1, and it was a bunch of us. And like that scene where Will was running through the streets and his shirt was open, every girl that was with us had their mouth open and was like, wow. And I think most of us was like, damn, I wish I could have that part.
Yeah, I do remember that. I think it was, in fact, it was a movie theater in Brooklyn. And, being from Queens, I never went to Brooklyn. So I do remember that day at some, little rinky theater in Brooklyn. But yeah.
That's right. And when I got the call for Bad Boys 2, that's the memory that kicks in for me. Good times with my peoples, feeling loved and enjoying a good movie, good laugh, action. I was excited. So I actually read for 3 different parts in the movie, and I got called in for one, did my best. Okay, the next time, okay, well, Ralph, could you come in and read for this different part? Okay, sure. I went. 4th time, they were like, could you come in? Okay, what do you want me to read for? Just bring them all. I was like, okay. So I brought, I worked on the 3 different parts I read for, just to make sure they were fresh in my head. And I get there, and Michael Bay's there. And I knew who he was, but I didn't know who he was. At this point, he wasn't as big as he is now. And so I get up there and I got all 3 scripts in my hand. I was like, which one do you want me to read? He was like, all right, put it down. We're going to play. As soon as he said that, I was like, oh, I got you. Because, improv and talking shit and, just like that's what comes natural to me. So I get there and he starts throwing things at me and I start throwing things at him. All of a sudden he's cracking up and he was like, all right, you got a part. I was like, which one? He was like, I don't know, but you got a part. I was like, okay. I thought he was full of shit. And then I received the script and I received this Bad Boys hat and all these things. And I was like, oh, maybe this is for real. And all of a sudden I get, a call date and they were like, you're going to be working for 2 weeks. At the time I had just started working at Kinko's. So I tell, I'd been there for like a week. I told the guy, listen, I just got this part. Can I get, some time off so I can do it? He was like, well, you just started. No, I can't give you no time. I was like, okay, it was nice meeting you. I quit. So I walked out and, 2 weeks turned into 2 months, into 4 months. 4 months later, I'm there every day. I've, hung out with Will. I've hung out with Michael Bay. Met some good people on the crew. It was a dream come true. This is what you work, hard for. This is what I went to college for. This is, I was making really good money doing what I wanted. Yeah, it was long days. The hell, there was pretty girls all around. There was food, cooked by chefs. There was, it was just awesome.
Just so everyone knows, it doesn't usually happen, but Michael Bay, who directed Bad Boys 2, if you get into an audition and the director's there, you're probably one step away from getting the part. Usually doesn't happen. It's rare. Usually you deal with the casting director or maybe someone else that's reading for a part. But, this scenario is like a dream scenario. And, knowing Ralph all these years, I know it's like if he can get into the room at that point, he can sell it. I mean, this guy is just, phenomenally talented, and he's real. But I mean, that's amazing. I didn't realize that you actually, when you got the part, you ended up, in the room with Michael Bay and kind of, blew him away to the point where he's like, yeah, I don't even know what I got for you yet, but you're going to be in the movie.
Yep. And even, I mean, I don't know if you've heard stories of Michael Bay. Michael Bay's, he's like a mad scientist. Like, like I told you, they sent me the script or something like that. If you actually read the script and you watch the movie, it's like nothing. There's nothing in the script that was in the movie and vice versa. I had a couple of scenes with lines and stuff like that, and my lines didn't come from the script. He was like, okay, here's what you're going to do. You're going to go in, you're going to say this, you're going to do that, you got it? Okay, go do it. And then, I did it once when I was supposed to be a badass going into a room, try to clear it, acting like I'm a cop. And he was like, cut. Ralph. I was like, yeah, what's up, Michael? Somebody said you sounded like a pussy. I was like, what? So, that's Michael directing. He wasn't telling me, okay, I want you to be louder or I want you to be stronger. No, Ralph, you sound like a pussy. Because he knew I was going to react to that. And he got me. And, and that's how he gets his people to do things. Had me running up and down the stairs. I don't even think he was shooting. He just wanted me to run up and down the stairs. And a couple of days later, we were having a drink, and he told me, I love that shit. You had me giggling. And we need to do it. I was like, shit. I don't think he did it for the movie. I think he was just fucking with me. That was Michael Bay, and it was a great experience.
That is so cool, man. Because I remember when the movie came out, and I saw it opening day. I'm down here, living in Florida, and I remember like the first time I saw you on the screen. Ralph's character was one of the henchmen for the bad guys, so he wasn't on the good side. He was with the bad drug dealer. And every time I saw you on the screen, I probably shouted out. People probably thought I was crazy. And let's be clear. We all know at the end, when, Will and Martin are assaulting, the mansion, it was your fault that they got in because you weren't paying attention. You were watching the girls by the pool, and because of you, they were able to get in and save the day. So, all I got to say is, in the real world, don't hire this guy as a real henchman if there's beautiful women around, thank you, because he's not going to pay attention to his job. But
one funny thing about that thing is, remember the two Spanish cops? One of them ended up being the one to shoot me. Well, he's an iota. He's a member of another predominantly black fraternity. So him and I would always joke around, me being a Sigma, him being an iota, and at the end, he gets to shoot me. So to this day, every now and then, we do keep in touch. We'll talk and stuff like that, and he'll throw that out. And it's just like an ongoing joke, I guess, inside joke. But met some good people there.
That is fantastic, man. I'm telling you, I when I hear stories like this, it's like I get to live vicariously through you and knowing all the shows we did together back at City College and all the classes we had and and then even outside of that, all the crazy things we did, all the fun that we had and the people that we've met over the years. It's just, anytime I would see you in a commercial, didn't matter what it was, didn't matter if it was in English. If I saw you on a TV show or a movie, and still to this day, if Bad Boys 2 is on, I'll watch it just because I know that you're in it. Whether it's the beginning and end, doesn't matter. I'm going to sit and watch it. So it's, I'm proud of everything you've done. And anytime I, hear of you doing more, I'm definitely going to follow you. And definitely wish you the best, man. It's, continue to do it. You've got natural talent. I mean, it's when I've done things with you, it's like you're not acting. It's just you are whichever character you're playing, and that's just who you are. And I just think it's an amazing thing. So if there are people out there listening to this, hopefully as I build up, then, that's what we need to do. And you need to support this cat. spread the word, listen to the show. Ralph's actually on the West Coast these days, in and around the LA area. Now, since you've headed out west, I mean, what is it you're doing, to keep yourself active and acting and learning and always studying? What are you doing these days?
I'll tell you, Los Angeles is a different world. It truly is. People out here are very interesting. I even, when I first moved out here, that's when the writers went on strike, and then Screen Actors Guild almost went on strike, and money disappeared. So even, well-known actors were having issues getting work. And, I myself who, have work, but, I'm not famous or anything like that. It was nearly impossible. So I actually stepped away from acting for about 5 years. Started working IT and doing other things, but I just couldn't give it up. It got to the point where I told my wife, listen, I can't do the suburbia thing anymore. And I was blessed that she understood, and we sold the house and we moved to the LA area where things are so much more expensive, and but she was willing to do it, for me to follow my dreams. So I'm back. I finally got myself, some good agents. I got a good commercial agent, a good theatrical agent. I've been taking classes with this guy, Rob Brownstein, who's freaking amazing. He's another New York actor, works a lot, and he also teaches, and he's amazing at it. So, having a degree in theater, coming from theater in New York, having a decent resume, I thought, I'm just going to refresh, my skills, and I'll be ready. I learned that I didn't know as much as I thought I did. So that class has helped me a lot. I've also been taking improv classes, a couple of different places, just to keep myself loose and always doing something. Because if you're an actor that, on a TV show and you're working every day or, every week and stuff like that, you don't really need the classes just because you're keeping your skills and your muscles loose and everything, flowing. If you're not, as lucky as that, and you work, occasionally have the occasional audition, stuff like that, you have to do something to keep those, those muscles loose, those muscles, the things flowing. So that's why I take all those classes, and I love it. You get to meet great people, and, you get to play around, you get to make mistakes because, you're paying for the class. So if you make a mistake, hell, you made a mistake, you do it again. If you're in an audition or somebody's paying you and you make a mistake, that's an issue. You might not get another job. So you gotta keep doing it. It's just part of the business.
That's good to hear, man. I mean, I can hear the passion in your voice, and it makes me proud to know that there's still people out there that still have that love and keep at it. I mean, because most people don't realize it, because they see people that are in the movies, things like that. But most of, acting is failure. You see people when they get the job, but you don't see all the times they didn't get the job. I mean, and unless you're, megastar status, unless you're a Will Smith or a Tom Cruise in the world who produces their own vehicles most of the times, you have to audition for these parts. They're not just sent to you. You don't just get a script and someone says, hey, I want you to do this. You actually have to, earn it. You have to hustle to get it. And it's hard.
It's hard. And like you mentioned earlier, we went to school with some extremely talented people. And, there's only about, 10, 15% of us that are actually still pursuing it. Everybody else went to a 9-to-5 type job or things like that, just because the auditioning process. And it feels to them like it's a negative thing when you don't get the part. Like people didn't think you were good enough or something like that. You got to know the business. A lot of times it has nothing to do with that. I was in Florida. I was up for a part in that movie Monster. And I was probably one of the best ones there. I thought the part was mine. The casting director, everybody that I met was like, okay, you did the best reading. when it came down to it, they actually called me into a meeting to tell me how good I was and that I wasn't getting the part, which blew my mind. I was like, why? She was like, well, you're 6'2", about 300 pounds. She's supposed to overpower you in the scene. Even though you were the best actor, anybody that sees that knows that that's not going to happen.
Gotcha. And that was it, Monster. That was the one Charlize Theron won an award for.
Yep.
Okay.
So a lot of times it's not that you weren't good enough. It's just, there's a lot of moving parts and everything has to fit in together for it to work. So you go in there, you do your best, and you appreciate the opportunity to act, because that's what an audition is. You're acting. So you appreciate the opportunity to act, and you move on and you forget about it. Now, if you get a call a week later or something like that, great. You're going to get paid to do something you love. If you don't, cool. You wait for the next one, the next opportunity to act. And, you make a good impression, and you never know. That casting director might have something a year from now. Be like, yo, send me that big Puerto Rican dude. He was really good, so you never know. So you go in there, you do your best, and you forget about it. Because if you sit down at home and you think about it and you email your agent, and you're just going to go crazy and you're going to give up.
Wow, man. It's hearing that and hearing your passion. It's a wonderful thing, man. I continue to wish you the best. We've been friends for years, and we're always going to be friends. We're brothers, and I love hearing about it, man. And, I hope you go out and break a leg every night. And, for those of you listening, that's wishing someone luck in film and theaters. I don't want him to actually break his leg. But continue to go out, man, continue to learn, and, we hope to see more from you in the future. And, once again, I really appreciate you taking time out of your schedule. And then plus it's the 3-hour time difference between the East Coast and the West Coast. And I really appreciate you joining us here on the Multifarious Man podcast, because, you're giving back, and I really appreciate it. This is something new I started, and, I hope to give more. And, through, generous people like yourself taking the time to join us, it's going to help the show grow. So once again, thank you. And I hope you to continue to be a friend of the show. And, if something comes up that you're doing, don't hesitate to let me know, and I'll get you back on here.
Yeah, appreciate it, man. You're family. So it's like, no need for all the thank yous or all that stuff. It's just something we do for each other, man.
All right, man. Thank you once again. And everyone, once again, that's Ralph Navarro. If you haven't gone out and seen Bad Boy 2, go out and see it. You'll know who he is. He's the big Puerto Rican cat that's a henchman for the bad guy. And, you'll get a laugh out of it now that you know who he is. And that's it, man. That's it for the show. When I come back, I'll close everything up for this week. But once again, that's our first interview in the book. Everyone have a pleasant day. We're back with the Multifarious Man podcast. Again, I am your host, Jay Vincent, and this is the end of another fabulous show. Thank you for joining us on this fine Saturday. You could have been doing anything else. If you're not listening to this on Saturday, whatever day you're listening to it, thank you again for joining us for the show. Hope you enjoyed the interview, and I hope to have many, many more interviews. Please check the show notes, and there'll be links to Ralph's IMDb page. Again, a wonderful interview. Got to learn some decent things about the acting and staying involved in the acting business, because it is a business, not just a craft and a desire, but it's something that people can earn a living at and really, entertain the masses. Until next time, that's really it. Spread the word. Follow me on Twitter at Multifarious Man. That's at Multifarious Man on Twitter. You can send me an email at multifarious.man.podcast@gmail.com. And, of course, follow us on Facebook. Send me feedback, send me notes. Really like to hear from you guys out there. Until next time. Numerous and varied, greatly diverse and manifold. All the things I want to say that never been told. Dina Sinatra to Drake and Pharrell. When I'm listening to this week, you can never tell. Bogey and Bacall, even Meryl Streep. The devil wears Prada, even the big sleep. It doesn't matter where you stand, I'm the multifarious man.